All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we got to talk about Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot under heavy scrutiny over Tucker Carlson's reporting on the homelessness problem at O'Hare Airport. Now, Tucker Carlson reporting on this couldn't have come at a worse time for Lori Lightfoot because she's slacking in the polls and it's not looking like she'll get reelected as Chicago mayor. So I got a few videos to show you. We're about to get into this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe while we watching. Now let's roll it.
Last night, Tucker Carlson, Fox News, and the Daily Mail featured the homelessness, the encampments that are growing at O'Hare Airport, and all the baggage claims, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Mm-hmm. Anywhere from 200 to 300 people a night are sleeping there, even when the weather is not inclement. Pictures like this, people don't know if they're stepping over bodies or people sleeping on the floors. What are you doing about it?
Well, let's start with consider the source, which is Tucker. No, I think that's fair.
Do you want to see the pictures?
I've seen it, but let's consider the source, which is starting with Tucker Carlson and Fox News. They're never going to portray our city in a favorable light. My understanding is those pictures are quite old, but the fact of the matter is we have taken and will continue to take the steps that are necessary to move people out of the airports. The airports are a very different place than on the street, under an underpass. It's a secure location, and the message is clear from me to the Department of Aviation, the police department up there. We absolutely fundamentally cannot have people sleeping in our airports who are homeless. That is unacceptable. And so we're going to continue within the bounds of the law to do what is necessary to provide those folks with support, but elsewhere. They can't be in our airports.
Now, I would have maybe understood her saying that, well, Tucker Carlson doesn't live here, so he won't have an accurate report on what our airport actually looks like. But even that is a bit ridiculous because he could reach out to someone who actually does live here. And I'm pretty sure he did in his report to get the figures and get the numbers that he got when he reported on it. And to say that you can't trust anything that Tucker Carlson says simply because he's on Fox News is nothing but a cop-out. That'd be like saying you can't trust nothing on, CNN or MSNBC. It seems like she's always saying we're taking the necessary steps and going about the necessary measures, but things never really get solved here in Chicago. Now, I actually live in the Chicago area. I know people who work at O'Hare Airport, and it's considered to be one of the nicest airports, if not the nicest airport in all of America. At least that's what it's claimed to be. 6 years running, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard stories, and I'm talking recently, like within the past few weeks, of homeless people going in the airport, screaming, making a whole bunch of noise, threatening people, throwing wheelchairs, throwing things all over the place. Now, I'm not saying this happens every day, but this stuff has happened. And with the increase of homeless people setting up encampments in the airport, more crazy things like this are bound to happen if they don't do something about this quickly. It was really cold in Chicago. I mean, I think every year when it gets cold, you see an increase of homeless people trying to take shelter in the airports. I mean, they aren't supposed to. They're supposed to get kicked out regardless, but when it gets cold, you see them shelter at the airport more. O'Hare Airport isn't as secure as Lori Lightfoot tries to make it sound. That homeless guy who I just said was, throwing around wheelchairs and screaming at people, making threats. It took like 10 minutes for him to be detained. So that should tell you something right there. Now I got a video here of the polling numbers from all the mayor candidates, and Lori Lightfoot is struggling to take the lead in her city. Let's take a look.
Guys, with 11 days until Election Day, the race for mayor shows only 5 of the 9 candidates who are polling in double figures, and the number of undecided voters is shrinking. What's unclear, though, is how much the race might change between now and February 28th. Paul Vallis heading down the home stretch in the race with his polling numbers continuing to grow. The latest independent poll by Victory Research shows Vallis in front with 22.8%, followed by Lori Lightfoot at 17.1%, and Brandon Johnson just a point behind her. Chuy Garcia and Willie Wilson round out the top 5 with no other candidate in double figures.
Now, as you can see here, it's still some time. Lori Lightfoot is about 5 points behind, but not looking good. It doesn't usually look like this for her, and there's only a 1 point difference between her and the third place candidate right now. So like I said, she is struggling.
I think Paul has solidified himself as the front runner in the race with his message of law and order.
But Vallis now fending off new criticism because of his endorsement from the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police. The FOP inviting members to a scheduled visit by Florida Governor and presumed Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, who is coming to Elmhurst on Monday, President's Day, to meet behind closed doors with law enforcement members. Jesus Chuy Garcia campaigning today on the north side, denouncing the visit and attacking Vallis.
Obviously, it's meant to have some sort of a political impact in Chicago, but it certainly raises the questions again about whether Vallis is a trustworthy candidate, whether, as he claims, he's a lifelong Democrat.
In a statement, Vallis distancing himself from DeSantis, saying, "I wholeheartedly agree with Governor Pritzker that there is simply no place in Chicago for a right-wing extremist like Ron DeSantis, and I am disappointed in FOP leadership for inviting him to speak to officers."
See, this is why Chicago will never change. We don't want anything new. The Fraternal Order of Police simply invited Ron DeSantis to, have a discussion of some sort. The FOP endorsed Paul Vallis because he's running on law and order, and then Paul Vallis turns around and condemns the FOP and says he's disappointed in them because they invited Ron DeSantis to speak with them. I understand that you got to save face when you're trying to get votes and you're trying to be the mayor of Chicago, but to turn around and badmouth the same people who just endorsed you is kind of crazy to me, but let's continue.
Rod McCullough says his polling shows Johnson could be the sleeper candidate in this race, and while the polls show Lightfoot losing the runoff to any of the other top four candidates, he offered this insight.
I don't believe the mayor is in the front running right now, but I do think that she's viable to be in the runoff. I do believe that. And for people who discount her, do so at their own peril.
With Lightfoot suffering from low favorability numbers, the poll also asked voters if there was any one candidate who they definitely would never vote for. The highest number, 54% of the respondents, said Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Judy.
All right, we're good.
54% of the people they asked in the poll said that they would never vote for Lori Lightfoot. So, like I said, guys, she's struggling, and maybe we'll get something new. But from what we saw in that clip, something new might just be the same or even worse. Who knows? All right, guys, in this last clip I want to show you is pretty much Lori Lightfoot doing her version of the Joe Biden, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black." When speaking to black voters, she said any vote that isn't for me is one for that Mexican guy and that white guy. The Mexican guy being Chuy Garcia and the white guy being Paul Vallis. Let's take a look.
Now, let's turn to the upcoming election here. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot facing some criticism tonight for comments that she made earlier today during a rally in the Grand Crossing neighborhood, where she seemed to urge some folks to not vote.
Any vote coming on the side for somebody not named Lightfoot is a vote for Chuy Garcia or Paul Vallis.
That's it. That's it.
If you want them controlling your fate and your destiny, then stay home. Then don't vote. But we've got to do better. Right? We have this moment, this opportunity to take control of our own destiny, and that means we've got to get out and vote. No one can stay home.
Now, Jesus Chuy Garcia responding tonight saying this is disqualifying rhetoric for anyone hoping to lead Chicago. That is a multiracial and multi-ethnic city. We need unity, not division. The mayor's campaign issuing a statement tonight saying in part the mayor urges every Chicagoan to exercise their rights and get out and to vote. The stakes of this election are high, and Chicagoans should take action to make sure we keep moving forward on the economic progress she has led on the south and west sides. Now, we did reach out to Paul Vallis's campaign for comment, and we are waiting to hear back on that.
Well, you have it there, folks. She wants you to exercise her right to vote only if it's for her. If it ain't a vote for her, you might as well not even vote. All these videos have made me realize is that I'm not too confident in any of the candidates who might replace Lori Lightfoot. Paul Vallis sounds nice talking about law and order, but he does seem a little bit soft to me. I don't know. Time will tell. We got to wait and see who wins the race. But that's it for the video, you guys. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe on your way out the door. Until next time, you guys, I'm out of here. Peace.